Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and the case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard is over, but the public relations battle is not. And I thought it was incredibly important to break down all of the lies that Amber Heard herself said in her statement. It really offended me, this statement. She still cannot learn. She refuses to take accountability. And I thought it's important before she and other media outlets attempt to rewrite history, we go through with the facts here on Popcorn Planet. All right, so let's break it down, guys. Here's her statement on the left. Here are the fact checks on the right, okay? After a great deal of deliberation, I've made a very difficult decision to settle the defamation case brought against me by my ex-husband. And you did not settle the case. You settled your judgment. The case still stands. Amber was found guilty of defaming Johnny Depp and has given up her right to appeal. She then goes on to say, it's important for me to say that I never chose this. Lie. She absolutely did choose this. She first filed that false TRO as a publicity stunt for TMZ, which everyone discovered, to ruin Johnny's life is what she was doing. She then agreed to a divorce settlement that Johnny gave in and said, let's move on. Here's the settlement, the $7 million to charity, etc. She repeatedly broke that agreement and then wrote the op-ed, the defamatory op-ed that got her in all this trouble. So she can go out there and say she didn't choose this, but she absolutely did. If she had just moved on, did her acting, and stopped calling Johnny out, this would have never gone anywhere. She absolutely chose this path, and he was left with no other option to defend himself. And thank God he did. The vilification I have faced is an amplified version of the ways in which women are re-victimized when they come forward. And that is just false. Victims of alleged victims and ones who've, these people have been tried. Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, so many more. I see so many people supporting Danny Masterson, even though that is a hung jury. There's so many people have been heard and applauded. This idea that she now has made it so victims can't come forward and be believed is absolute nonsense. This is PR spin by Amber Heard. Now I finally have the opportunity to emancipate myself from something I attempted to leave. She would never let Johnny leave. It's on the audio tapes. Johnny attempted to leave numerous times, and she would sit there crying to him for hours, telling him to stay. She wouldn't let him leave. Also reminding you to go check out lie number 2 and all the things that she did previously to cause all of this. Let's continue the next one. This is not an act of concession. There are no restrictions or gags with respect to my voice moving forward. And it is a legal act of concession. She remains guilty of defaming Johnny Depp. That does not go anywhere. It stays the same. And she also cannot defame him again. In fact, I want to confirm here. Here it is. Deadline, who is an outlet that has not been a fan of Johnny's, even says here, despite Heard's assertion to the contrary, it appears that the judgment delivered against the actress by a Virginia jury still stands and could be enforced if she publicly repeated the same statements of alleged defamation against Depp that her ex-husband initially sued over in March 2019. So there you go. Is she going to keep doing it? Who knows? I wouldn't put it past her, but she can be charged again from what I've gathered. Now, unless there's something in the document that we don't know, I just find it hard to believe Johnny would give her that. I make this decision having lost faith in the American legal system where my unprotected testimony, look, the legal system was totally fair and balanced here. Fair and just. Amber's own lawyers are the ones that brought up her SV accusations. They did it in this weird little sneaky way to try and get it out there. And by doing so, her lawyers put that into the public record, and therefore it was no longer private testimony. If she's mad at anybody, she should be mad at her own lawyers. They know the rules. They did it. It's another way for Amber to game the system and play victim, and I'm over it. It's her lawyer's fault. If she didn't want to have that testimony, they should have never revealed it, and they did. Let's continue. When I took before a judge in the UK, I was vindicated by a robust, impartial, and fair system. UK case was not a win for Amber Heard. It was against a tabloid, an awful tabloid, The Sun. It's so weird she wants to defend this tabloid so much. Also, it's very important we say that the judge's own son was caught having questionable ties to Rupert Murdoch, who owns The Sun. You can Google this yourself, guys. It's really weird how a lot of this has now been scrubbed. Justice Nichols has removed his children's names from some documents and things. Like, this is sketchy. This justice is now retired, but there is so much here that just screams retrial, appeal, and he refused. But Go look this up. The fact that Justice Nichols' son works for the Sun does not help this completely impartial, fair system. Lies. And there's a lot more here we're going to break down because of this. The court found that I was subjected to DVSV. Lie. Not true. The UK judge, even Justice Nichols, who did a lot of wrong, he even admitted that she could not find that she did suffer from SV. So again, lie. She did not, the justice did not do that in the UK. It's one of the ones where he didn't side with her on. In the US, however, so she's now automatically shooting down the US, and it's important because the US did a much better job. Judge Escrotti was not convinced that Johnny Depp got a fair trial in the UK. Amber was only a third-party witness, and Johnny was not allowed to compel any evidence from her. She marked nearly everything in Fairfax confidential, and he wasn't permitted to use it. This is the problem. She wants to say, oh, well, we had a fair trial. He didn't. And thank goodness for the US and the fair system that we had here, because they allowed it to actually go down the way it's supposed to go down, where she couldn't hide behind confidentiality things and play the game in the system. Johnny had every right to question her, as anyone should be. And that's why this was so important. So she's continuing to try and say UK good, US bad, and that's a lie. I exhausted almost all my resources. I think what she meant to say there is she exhausted all of her friends that were willing to lie for her on her behalf, because they all started giving up. And the ones that did were only there because they had previously given this testimony. And if they had changed their testimony at all, they would have been held in contempt of court. They would have lied under oath. It's perjury. That's not a good look. They all begrudgingly got there and repeated the same story, far less effectively, because you could just tell Amber had exhausted her friend resources. She was subjected to the courtroom, which abundant and direct evidence that corroborated my testimony was excluded. Say it with me, guys. No, that's a lie. Evidence and hearsay. She's talking about a lot of hearsay. Her big example of what didn't come in was her telling her own therapist that it happened. That's hearsay. Imagine if you could just go and just tell your therapist whatever you want, and therefore it's true. That's literally the argument that Amber Heard's now making. Well, I told my therapist, I told her multiple times, privately, between the two of us, and you can't lie to therapists. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. That's literally what she wants, that she told her therapist. Therapist didn't confirm anything. That's all hearsay. It doesn't matter what she told her therapist. We already heard Amber say it. Who she told doesn't matter. That's not the issue. So again, another lie. Also, it's important to know that both sides had evidence of hearsay kept, including audio tape that Johnny had of his own doctor admitting, yeah, Amber sliced off his finger. The doctor was the one person Johnny spoke to immediately afterwards, because he was, actually working on the injury, and said Amber did it. He didn't want anyone else to know. He didn't want to get her in trouble. He kept it from her, which Amber then used against him later. But that's the most telling example. And that doctor privilege should have, we had Camille on an interview on Court TV that we showed you. And if you haven't seen that video, I will put it up here. Go watch the amazing things she revealed in the latest interview, including that tidbit, which is very, very important. And Amber stans won't want to acknowledge. But there you go. Popularity and power mattered more than reason and due process. Say it with me, guys. This is a direct shot at the Honorable Judge Escrotti, who did such a good job, so balanced, and took things away from both Amber and Johnny. And this idea that now suddenly, because she lost, Judge Escrotti was distracted by popularity, but Judge Nichols, whose son works for the Murdoch, wasn't. Like, it's absurd. Her logic here is absolutely absurd. All right, next up, and here I do want to say it's also clear here. We have Justice Nichols. You can go look this up. Kudos to the real RB who helped me research a lot of this. Yeah, you can see all of this backed up. That the judge did not rule in the SV, and also here's just Judge Escardi admitting Johnny did not have a fair trial in the UK. So here we go. Continuing Amber's lies of statements. In the interim, I was exposed to a type of humiliation that I simply cannot relive. The best outcome would be a retrial where a new jury would have to consider the evidence again. I simply cannot go through it for a third time. And what she meant to say is Amber and her insurance company can't afford to defend her lies any further. It's really important you guys remember her insurance company is paying for this, not her. She wants to make it seem like she's paying for it. She can't afford it. Lies. And we'll get more to that in a second. If she means this, sorry, I'm going to get to the next part. But all of that's around the fact that her insurance company, who is defending her, is like, dude, it's over. We're not paying for this. We don't believe it anymore. You're caught. Enough is enough. We're paying Johnny. That's what actually happened. That's a sign of guilt, in my opinion, when the insurance company's paying out. Time is precious, and I want to spend my time productively and purposely. No point does she mention her own daughter or just being a mom. And I got to say, I don't believe she believes time is precious because why would there be no mention of her child? I don't want to bring her child in, but she brought her child in so often as a prop throughout this case. So now she's not going to bring that in. It's very strange. I don't buy it. Now, again, I want to say I have been caged an arduous, expensive legal process, which has shown itself unable to protect me and my right to free speech. That is false. She's never been silenced. She always had the right to have her free speech, but that does not give her the right to lie and defame others without consequence. That's what's happening here. The jury agreed and they found her guilty of defamation and awarded Johnny Depp. That still stands. No matter what she tries to tell you or the media tries to tell you, she lost. I cannot afford to risk an impossible bill, one that is just not just financial. And she hasn't paid any of these legal bills. From everything we've gathered, the insurance companies have paid the front of the bill. They don't want to pay anymore. I'm sure they could afford it if they believed this case was worth it, because then they'd go to the end and not have to pay anything. Insurance companies don't want to pay anything, but they're like, no, let's pay him $1 million because this isn't looking good, Amber. You're caught. Enough is enough. Now, it's also important to remember, Amber had $7 million in the bank. We've proven this. The payments came. She had all $7 million in the bank. Johnny didn't sue her until 13 months later. So she had that money for 13 months. Amber stands, and Amber always like to avoid this fact, but she had $7 million in the bank for 13 months. She didn't give it to charity. She pledged it and then was going to, but she didn't give any of it. Elon Musk did. Johnny did. Amber gave zilch. Didn't make any massive payments. She's kept $7 million in the bank. So I'm just confused. If she didn't pay for the legal fees and she had $7 million in the bank, where is it at? How? What do you mean you can't afford it? I thought you had $7 million left. Something's off there. What's also off is her saying, speaking her truth. No, it's the truth. There's only one truth. The truth. It's not your truth, Amber. Sorry. Line number 17. In settling this case, there she goes again. Choosing the freedom. No. Don't let her keep repeating it over and over again. She did not settle the case. She settled her judgment. She lost, and she's agreeing she lost, and she's making a deal so she doesn't have to pay the full $10 million. Now, Johnny doesn't have to pay any money either now. The $2 million or whatever, when they threw Adam Waldman under the bus, who I think absolutely got screwed and should have definitely been able to win that appeal, but Johnny's like, enough. Boom. I want this done. I want to go move on with my life. And he's agreeing to take, it wasn't about the money. He's already pledging. He said, I'm pledging. I'm going to read this again one more time. It's worth seeing here in the Brown Rudnick press release. It makes it very good. He says here, 1 million, which he has pledged and will donate to charities. He's not just pledging, he's actually going to donate. What a gentleman he is there. Bravo to him. So there you go. Yeah. Stop with this settling the case. You didn't. You're settling your judgment. You lost. You're paying Johnny 1 million. Well, actually, Amber's not. Amber's insurance company is paying $1 million because they're the ones who actually were footing the bill, and they're the ones who really get to say at the end of the day because they are defending her and they don't want to pay the money. She now is going to dedicate her time and work to help heal and work in realms in which I feel seen, heard, and believed. So realms outside of reality is how I see this, where males can't ever be the victim. Am I right, guys? She refuses, and so many outlets that cover this refuse to accept that males can be victims in this. And that's the realm of reality I think she's in, this non-reality. I will not be threatened. Now, this is the first time I'm going to say correct. No one should be threatening you. No one. Johnny, leave her alone. This is not going to help matters. Anybody who does that, you're not on our team. You're a bad person, and leave her alone. Now, the problem is, though, when you're not speaking the truth, Amber, we are allowed to correct it. And that's not taking your voice away. That's using our voice to correct your voice and tell the right truth, the truth. And so, no, we are constantly deemed as people harassing, et cetera. And that's nonsense. I'm here correcting this statement. I think it's important historical record because she's going to go out there and try and rewrite things. When in doubt, for people here, this was all nonsense. Also, she says, my voice remains the most valuable asset I have. And that's technically a lie because her lying voice just cost her a fortune. So I found that just kind of weird that she chose that last little lie. Of course, she couldn't resist. She wants to thank her outstanding appellate and original team for their work. I mean, guys, her lawyers were laughably bad. literally pushed to tears at points, reportedly, because she was so impossible to deal with. But regardless of any of that, come on. Elaine was outstanding? No, she wasn't. I don't even mean to try to disrespect her. She was in a tough place to be. I feel for her a little bit until she started doing the press tour for Amber. But man, yeah, I wouldn't be applauding her. I want to thank everyone for the growing support that I felt and seen publicly in the months since the trial and the efforts that have been made to show solidarity with my story. She means the growing support of paid PR efforts that have clearly, I said, my first reaction was, okay, it all makes sense now. All of this stuff, the Cat Tim Barges, the Taylors, etc., the doxing of me, Laura Tugg, all of it was setting the tone to have this ready. She wanted to get those amicuses in, Mika briefs. It was all a coordinated plan to get the PR she wants, get the thing, look like a victim, get some people to hook, line, and sinker, people who didn't watch the trial, and paint Amber as the victim to everybody who didn't watch the trial. That's what the whole plan was. And then they knew they had no case, so they would settle. I'm going to pay for this really expensive lawyer. Yeah. We're not going to go that far, guys. We're going to settle it. It seems so clear to me. This is a lie. This was all an orchestrated move from the beginning. She knew she had no case, even though she was out there doing press releases and interviews saying, I'm appealing. Well, she's not now. So everybody was using that as a point to Amber. She gave up. I thought she had an insurance company and she was in the right. Oh, we're going to prove it with all our mountains of evidence. No, all her appeal was nonsense. And everybody knew it. Everybody knew it, including her. And then finally, I think the most offensive one she does here is just this, as any survivor knows. And I cannot find enough words to tell you the hope, your belief in me and aspires, not just me, for all of you. I mean, my God, what a selfish, awful woman. And you should not be speaking to on behalf of any survivors, Amber. You have not helped the cause at all. And I just can't believe more women and survivors are allowing this to continue and giving her this opportunity to use you is what she's doing. She just gave up her appeal. She's now paying Johnny $1 million through her insurance company. And now she's using actual victims to victimize herself for better PR. How is this allowed? How is this okay? I don't get it. And I got to give credit to Adam Waldman, who definitely got thrown under the bus, and I feel bad for him. But he points out 56 uses of the words me, myself, and I in her full statement. All about her, not about anybody else, not about any lessons she's learned. Me, victims are all me, all the people, all the survivors, you've inspired me, and I hope I inspire you, and blah, 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 blah. Disgusting. One more point I want to share here, aside, we went through that earlier, but the lawsuits with her insurance companies continue to move forward. Her settlement, Johnny, has no procedural effect on that. I want to thank DUI guy there. Plus, let's not forget, there's still potential for that UK case to get appealed. And let's not forget about Australia, guys. As much as we want this to be over, it's not over just yet. And Amber's clearly not going to go down quietly. The question is, will Johnny have enough to have to go back through this? I doubt he wants to do that. I'm sure she knows that. But will she try to keep poking the bear and say things and defame him further and further? Can only go so far, right? At a certain point, Johnny's won. He made it clear that's what this was about. It wasn't about the money. For Amber, it was clearly about money. She wanted to pledge to charity, but then not actually give it. Man, it's just disgusting what I'm seeing here. And sorry, I want to move on from this woman. I would live a happy life if we never have to say her name again, but I will not allow her to rewrite the history given all that we've done with this case. And I hope you guys won't either. So please get the word out on our corrections. Spread this out there. I'll be tweeting and Instagramming these out as well. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. If you want more coverage like this about other topics, we are going to go to other topics. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash the like button. Heck, use the super thanks button. If you hit the three little dots, you can do a super chat thanks down there. Support our coverage. And I appreciate you guys so much. We'll be live later today and every weekday here on Popcorn Planet. I hope to see you guys there. And thank you guys so much for watching.